Hey, everybody, welcome to the program, WRSA Radio. I'm your host, G1. As always, I hope you're having a good week. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving last week and, got some time to spend time with your families and eat some good food. Be thankful for what you have and what you will have. Be thoughtful about what you had and who you miss and who's no longer with you. I hope everything went well for you. It was a great week for me and mine, and we are now fully geared up for the holidays and looking forward to Christmas and New Year's. I'll be having family in for Christmas this year, so that will be kind of exciting and busy. Something to look forward to, and I'm very much looking forward to that. So anyway, what kind of gravy do we got on the turkey this week? Well, we're going to get into a few topics today. I don't really have a key item or a main item this week it's like breaking news or really hot button issues that we can really discuss. So I'm just going to hit a couple things, maybe some highlights, and then just call it a day. We're going to start out. Trump is still making moves and sending signals that we are going to conduct some kind of military action aimed at Venezuela. Over the weekend, he posted a message warning that airspace over the South American nation was closed. I'm not sure if everyone acknowledged that. I think the commercial carriers and some of the transport traffic and stuff veered away from the country, but I don't think Venezuela's military or local carriers probably acknowledge that. They were probably doing some flying, but at any rate, I don't think we conducted any kind of attempt to enforce that. But it was a signal that something might be happening. I don't think it was really a serious warning. I think it was kind of a bluff to get a call with Maduro, so that a conversation could take place. But needless to say, we do have assets in the area, and Trump, he could approve some kind of strike at any moment. So the threat is real, at least theoretical, a theoretical threat that's out there, a potential threat. So what is all behind this? I don't really know all the answers here. Obviously, we're all just speculating. It's kind of a mystery, honestly, because the official story is that this is due to drug cartels and an effort by the administration to put a significant hammer down on smuggling operations and manufacturing of drugs in the country. And this tracks with the strikes that we've been seeing taking place out there in the waters around Venezuela, blasting these smuggling boats out of the water, this kind of thing. On a quick note, speaking of that, I have no doubt that those boats are in fact smuggling drugs. I don't think those are the kind of boats that make these long runs out to sea. I believe they just kind of hug the coastline, probably going up into Mexico area, or just at least up along Central America somewhere. And then they transfer those shipments to land. But I have no doubt that there are actual criminals there, running those boats, and they deserve to be blown to bits out there. I had a significant change of opinion about the drug war a few years back when we lost a close relative of mine to an accidental overdose. I think selling a product that can kill people from just a single pill, because you have no idea of the safety of those pills, is immoral and evil. So screw those guys. They get what they deserve. They don't get any sympathy from me. So no, I don't think Pete Hegseth is a war criminal. I don't think this is illegal. This is criminal activity. It's criminal action, and stopping these people, interdiction, putting them in jail, giving them court, all that. No, these are foreign actors in foreign nations that the United States does not have jurisdiction from a criminal standpoint there. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that this is a an act of war against the people of the United States. And so using the military to conduct kinetic action against these people, I think, is perfectly justified. So that's my thought on that. I get the whole war on drugs failure, discussion, and I largely agree with a lot of that. But we have to draw a line somewhere and say, no, here's where we stop this because it's killing far too many innocent people. Anyway, moving on. Is this whole Venezuela thing, drug thing, is it legit? Is it all about drugs? I'm not so sure about that. I'm of two minds about it because there's some evidence, for example, that Smartmatic, the election machine company, has a lot of connections to Maduro in the country and just in other ways to Venezuela in general. So maybe there's more to this story than what is on the surface. Maybe this is about getting some kind of settlement of an old score, if you will, or doing some cleanup to that operation that's taking place down there for Trump. He gets this taken care of. I'm not really sure about that theory, honestly. I've seen some of this information, and the people who talk about it and put it out there are certainly, very much big supporters of it, very much believers of it. They feel like they have kind of smoking gun kind of evidence there. But I don't know. I'm not really sure about that theory. It's plausible. I don't think that is what is really legitimately behind this, because I don't know that you would get that kind of fervent defense of it from Marco Rubio and some of these others. I don't know that they would be as sort of adamant about it if that was really what it was. I'm a little more partial to another idea, one that actually does involve drugs. And you can take either side of this theory depending on if you believe that Trump is still actively working to destroy the deep state, or if you think that he's been compromised and forced into doing their work for fear of what they can do to him. Either way, and I'll leave that up for you to kind of make that call. I'm going to make some statements here first and kind of float this out there, and maybe you'll catch where I'm going with it. President Trump just pardoned the former president of Honduras, who had been arrested under American criminal law, and the administration has backed the new candidate for president in that country that is from the same party as this former president. And that guy, the former president, was convicted and sentenced for trafficking drugs while he was president. Now, that's pretty odd. So you're pardoning a guy who was a convicted drug trafficker, who was a president of a country, at the same time you're going after another country's president in the same general region for drug trafficking and being part of a cartel. That sounds really strange. It's really inconsistent. But perhaps he wasn't really trafficking drugs at all. Maybe he was taken out because he was kind of like the president of El Salvador, Bukele, I think his name is. Maybe he was making a significant difference there, and so the deep state worked to frame him and take him out. Or perhaps he really was trafficking drugs, but perhaps his operation was somehow in competition with the operation in Venezuela. So either way, Maduro seems to be a player with the other faction. Whatever faction Trump is in or answers to is in opposition to the one that Maduro is part of. And so maybe this is the deep state cleaning up someone that they no longer have control over or didn't really have a lot of control over, and they're trying to reestablish some channel in Honduras, and they want to take out the competition. Or maybe it was Trump sending a signal, hey, I'm letting this guy out that you guys put in jail because he was making a difference. He was cleaning up things, and I'm going to take your guy out there in Venezuela. I don't know the answer to that. Again, that's for you to kind of come down on whichever side you think that makes sense there. But I think it's far more close to the reality of this than perhaps trying to go after some kind of election operation or something that was in Maduro's control. It's about who's controlling drug smuggling, or it's about shutting down deep state funding through smuggling, depending on which side of the coin you come down on. So anyway, all that being said, I don't believe that we will see any kind of troops on the ground for this other than special operations. That's not some big change, honestly. Those guys have been working down there pretty consistently for decades. It's just not something that gets talked about. So I think people that are fearing that Trump is going off script and launching a war, I think that's a little off base. I don't think Trump sees it that way. Trump clearly believes that airstrikes or drone strikes, missile strikes, whatever, that those do not constitute a war. And you may disagree with that. And I think somebody like Ron Paul or Thomas Massie, they would disagree with that. But I don't think he believes that that constitutes a war. So he's not breaking any promises or acting out of character by authorizing that. At least I think that's how he perceives things. I think he's very happy with the idea of drone or missile strikes or Delta Force raiding a compound to arrest somebody. But he's not, in my opinion, going to commit conventional forces to some kind of like a long, drawn-out regime change operation taking place down there in Venezuela. I don't think that's really going to be a thing. At least that's my opinion. I could be completely wrong about that. I also floated the idea that, Trump kind of went off or was really focused on the Panama Canal in his last administration, his last term. What if this is all a feint to bring forces down there into position near Panama and launch an invasion of the Canal Zone and take back control of the Canal Zone from Chinese? I don't know. That was another thing that I thought about could potentially be at play down there. But that would be kind of an out of left field thing that took place. But we shall see what happens. So now, what else do we have for this week? Well, let's head over the pond to the place where England used to be and see what they're up to. So the police have arrested a guy because he had in his possession and was selling what they call extremist music. So apparently this guy had a massive record collection, several thousand records, and among this collection, it wasn't all this so-called extremist music, but among this collection, he has extremist music. And he apparently sold some of these records online, traded in them. So they arrested him, and they convinced him to plead guilty, which resulted in him getting a sentence of 40 months in jail. So over 3 years, because he had in his possession some music, some records. So they do everything they can to avoid the grooming gangs and the prosecution of the Asians or the Africans or the foreigners, whatever, of any kind, for any criminal act. They do everything to avoid that. We can't do that. That's offensive. Oh my gosh, that's racist. It's insensitive to their culture, blah, 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 blah. But boy, if you got the whole discography of Screwdriver, you are getting the full weight of the crown brought to bear against you. What the hell happened to these people? I speak about this often on the show because it bothers me. It bothers me immensely to see the mother country kill itself like this. It's the manifestation of pure evil, in my opinion. And it's an affront to my spirit and my conscience, and I just can't bear to see it. It is terrible. We see these memes all the time about, let's go, boys, we're taking back the Holy Land. Let's get the Crusades going. Boys, we need a crusade to London. We need to see the Union Jack flying over lines of men marching on Parliament and Buckingham Palace. Drive them all out on a rail, tar and feather them. Drive out these invaders and everyone who's facilitated this murder of a nation. Because they don't deserve to walk among you. It's bad enough to see that kind of stuff happen here in the United States. We have more of a history of and I'll use the term melting pot, than they do over in England. To see it happen there is just somehow, to me, it's somehow worse than it is to see it happening in my own country. We've been fighting this fight for a very long time. I didn't think that that was something that really took place over there for so long. It just seems to have taken place in a very short time and at a very high speed. It's just, it's a terrible thing to see. Anyway, that is all I have time for this week. Like and subscribe. Come see us over on Gab, Nice Crew, and the Mothership. And I'll see you on the next episode.